This is Cost of Loving Season 2. This season, we're diving into the money matters that really matter in relationships.
The relationship I'm in now is probably the first one I've had safe, open conversations about finances.
From spotting financial red flags to staying independent to finding true financial compatibility.
We're saving to buy a house together. I'm not buying new clothes, and then you're out buying 80-inch TVs.
We've got expert insights, real life stories, and some very special guests. Love may be blind, but your finances shouldn't be. Hi there, and welcome to the Experian Cost of Loving podcast, where we delve into the modern world of dating and relationships and how it may be impacting our bank balances. I'm your host, Anna Williamson, and today I'll be lifting the lid on the topic of financial compatibility and exploring how couples can navigate different financial personalities and habits while still maintaining a happy and healthy relationship. So whether you're a saver or spender, we're going to be discussing why it is so important for couples to talk about money and finances even in the early stages of dating, and when is the right time to have the chat, despite it feeling a little bit of an awkward subject for some of us to raise. We'll be giving some tips and advice for couples to help them communicate and find common ground despite their different financial personalities, and show how working together on shared financial goals really can help to keep the love light burning strong. Now, to share their own story of navigating financial compatibility in their relationship, I am super excited to welcome my two guests today. Very special guest, Jessie Wynter and Will Young. Now, you will know that these two have famously found love on Love Island, and they have since forged both their relationship and their career paths under the celebrity spotlight. Jessie, Will, welcome to the Cost of Loving podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you. We're excited.
It's good. I mean, can I just say, never have I seen such a blonde beauties in my life. I mean, look at you.
It's Australia. Whenever I go to Australia, I get a mullet, I dye my hair. It's just this alter ego.
It's really great to see you guys, and I've been really excited about chatting to you because not only are you incredibly likeable, but also incredibly successful, not just in your careers, but also in love. I mean, I guess the first thing I just kind of wanted to delve into really is, the whole Love Island experience. I mean, it's been going quite a while now. We see many couples come out of Love Island. Some have made it. Many haven't. What was it like doing Love Island? And indeed, how on earth do you go from that to finding each other and then navigating life on the outside?
It was a crazy experience. And I think finding a relationship that became this serious, that is wild. And doing that on TV, we don't really have anything to complain about with our little love story. Like, we have everything. We can show our kids everything that happened on Love Island. And then we get to come out, have all of that on Love Island, and then kind of experience dating and falling in love with each other in the real world. So
We would have never met if we didn't go on Love Island. Like, what are the chances that, I work on the farm, so the only people I see are at market or sheep, and then Jessie, the other side of the world in Tasmania. Like, if it wasn't for Love Island, we would have never met each other. So, and I think what was different, I think when we both went on the show, we were both so open for love. It wasn't, you weren't going in for anything else. But with that comes real, vulnerability.
100%. When you kind of start dating someone, you want it to be the last relationship usually. And that's where we were both at. We didn't want to have a breakup. So
this makes complete sense to me as a love coach, a dating expert, because you both went in with the same intentions, and your intentions being to fall in love. I mean, go figure. That's literally what happened.
And how lucky though, because I don't know how many people go in with those same intentions.
Not everyone,
and we found each other and we were compatible.
Yeah.
Love Island did their job. They really did their job.
Yeah, well done, Love Island. But you got to be in it though. You have to show up as two authentic human beings that have the same shared goals. And this is why it is perfect to delve into your relationship with your permission, which I know you've given us.
Yes.
To see how it ticks, not just obviously on a romantic level, but on a financial level, because it is a topic that is steeped in stigma and silence, and typically, well, this is quite interesting, British chat. I mean, you're Aussie, I'm curious to know if Australians are more open about talking about finances within a relationship.
I feel like Aussies as a whole are quite just open, like chit chat.
I would agree.
Yeah,
They would.
I can only speak for myself and the people I know,
Sure.
but I do think we do just chat about these things. Like, I think it's far more common in Australia. but it's still something that needs to be discussed a bit more.
Right. And Will, do you have like any upbringing in how you talk about money? Are you comfortable talking about finances?
When I worked on the farm for my dad, I wasn't paid a lot of money. So I wasn't probably as comfortable, openly wanting to talk about money sort of thing. But, since being with Jessie, like, I think from almost very early on, because I think it's because we do work the same job as well. Money was just, spoken about, and finances were just spoken about very early on.
As early on as when you were on Love Island or when you came out?
I don't really think we really spoke about finances on Love Island, but obviously if I was to come to the UK, we had to fund that. So we kind of had discussions on like how we'd make it work. And like, we had discussions like, if I came to London, I'd be able to get rent and whatnot. I've set myself up before coming here so that if I don't earn any money within the next 3 months, and while you're on Love Island, you don't really earn money either. We had that discussion that, I could financially support myself in the UK if I had to come there.
How important is financial compatibility, do you think?
I think that you don't have to have the same financial personality traits.
Why is she looking at me smiling? You see that glare she gave me?
We're going to get onto this because I'm thinking there's a difference. But that you're quite right. You're absolutely right. But
I do think you have to be willing to listen to what the other person, how they feel, what they think about it, and make it work together. So you don't have to be the same, but you do have to find a way to make both of you happy.
I 100% agree with that. But me and Jessie are quite opposite, to be quite honest.
We're going to get onto that. I mean, you laugh through that, but something's clearly working, or is it?
I
do get in trouble sometimes.
I mean, or have I found the chink in the armour here, and we're going to have to do some actual love coaching live on the podcast.
Yeah.
Financial compatibility, it is a hot topic in the world of dating, particularly on socials as well. And the impact it has on relationships. Why do you think talking about finances is such a hard topic?
I think there's a lot of reasons that money can be very uncomfortable to talk about, because money is a stressful thing, and some people feel stress towards money a lot more than others. And I think when you've got other stresses in your life, and if you have financial stress on you, that's probably the last thing you want to bring up and feel like you're putting on other people. In life, you can ask for help emotionally. However, I feel like asking for help financially, it's a little bit more difficult to do that.
Right. And it often plays into our experiences growing up, the attitudes that we've grown up with from our caregivers, from our parents, which can typically really dictate how comfortable we feel around finances. Some people, for example, that I might work with have come from families where there's been crippling debt and a lot of conflict within their upbringing around money. And on the other side, some people that have grown up with abundance or scarcity. May I ask, individually growing up, what was it like around finances? Did you come from plenty, none? Was it a healthy topic within families, or was it a don't go there kind of topic?
So for me, my parents had me when they were 17 and 18, so they were super young. So for me, I didn't actually grow up with lots of money. It was tough back in the day, but my parents obviously worked hard as they grew up and grew older, because they had me when they were teenagers pretty much. Right. So kind of I've, been through a transition with it. For me, I am such a saver, but I think that's because when I grew up, it's like if you spent the money, there's no money to come back to.
And that makes a lot of sense. So that's then shaped, I can hear a bit of a grafter attitude around that. And it sounds like a lot of respect for your folks as well. And what about you, Will? I mean, growing up on the farm, how was money talked about? I
think finances were spoken about a lot because we didn't have a lot of money. You really did have to live like hand to mouth almost. And then that's when I went on Love Island and maybe tasted a little bit of the money.
Yes.
And that's where me and Jessie had our conversations, probably spent, I wouldn't go I wasn't a crazy spender, but Jessie's a real saver, really good saver. And after Love Island, if I got kind of like clothes or shoes or shiny objects or different things like that, it was kind of like in a healthy way, Jessie being like, do we need this?
Right.
And it's more of future planning now rather than in the now.
But it sounds like you both have a healthy respect for money, and that you were both brought up in that way through your parents, which again, for me is a huge tick. If I was matchmaking you because it sounds like you appreciate the value of money. And I think that's a really interesting point when you go on Love Island. And I think maybe kind of letting us in a little bit, if you wouldn't mind. Did you see a big spike in income for both of you as a result of being on the show?
So when the show is actually being filmed, you don't really make any money. Because I had done Love Island Australia years ago. I was just a waitress before that. So that I did not really think about or take into consideration, but I'd also worked in banking. So I already had a financial advisor and a financial planner. So when I kind of...
Savvy girl.
Yes. So I was kind of ahead with those types of things, but I was very aware that what goes up must come down. You know, if you're going to spike up here, it's not going to last. So I just, and like I said about how I was brought up, if you spend all the money, there might not be money to go back to. So I still kind of have that in the back of my mind.
Scarcity mindset.
Yeah. So even when I got it, I was just like, whatever, this can go towards a house or this can go towards an investment.
And you were?
And I had Jessie when I came out of the villa. As soon as we got back, I went straight back on the farm. I knew there was opportunities there, but you don't know if you're going to get the opportunities. So I just went straight back to work and was like, if nothing's going to happen of it, I'm just going to work on the farm and Jessie can be...
Oh, you sensible boy. You guys, you're getting the biggest pat on the back from mama over here for this good mentality.
I can't lie though. I was shocked by how much you could actually make. Like that was the biggest surprise. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm not even just saying it just to blow smoke up your backside. I was really excited to meet you. It's because I'll tell you why, you're relatable. I know. And I think, and that's no shade on other people who've gone into Love Island, but and you are very beautiful, both of you, very handsome and beautiful, but you are also very accessible and very relatable. And I think more and more now, authenticity and transparency is what people are really wanting. And that brings us on really to talking about, financial compatibility and having these difficult conversations. And I think if, people like yourselves can be so open about that and show that a loving, supportive relationship involves having each other's back, having differences, but to your point, clear communication, it can absolutely work. And the research that we did with Experian, it found that 54% of us find it difficult to discuss finances with their partner. So over half. I mean, does that surprise you?
That doesn't surprise me, to be honest. I do find it is a difficult conversation. And obviously we adore each other. We're with each other all the time. So we kind of can talk to each other about anything. However, back in our earlier days, I don't know how comfortable we would have been having those conversations straight up.
It's a really difficult situation because I wouldn't say we're a normal couple. When you come off the show and you get brand deals because of the show, you're very entwined. And I think that was in a weird way, a nice introduction to, talking about finances. And then if I went shopping and maybe spend a little bit too much and Jessie didn't have a happy look on her face, then I know I've been a bit naughty.
It shows the respect and the boundaries that you have with each other to understand how each other communicates with that. Has it always felt easy talking about finances?
I think it become easier when we really started to plan our future together. So I think early dating, I've just come off the show. We're kind of living together, but we don't know if this is permanent. However, when we started to move in and our lives started to gel together and you're living together, you're spending money together, I do think it is important to have those conversations, because if I'm setting goals to save for a house and Will's out there spending all his money, it's well, I'm not going to buy you a house, mate.
Yeah.
You have a great communication, but behind closed doors, has there ever been a moment where you've gone, actually, you know what, I'm not happy about that, or has that not happened?
We're saving to buy a house together, and we're doing the renovations and everything at the moment. I'm not buying new clothes. I'm not doing this, and I'm saving really hard. And then you're out buying 80-inch TVs.
For the both of us, may I say, so we can both cozy up and watch telly together.
Well, so are you being honest, or do you just want to have that subscription to the Smarts channel?
I wanted it for the PlayStation.
There it is. I mean, at least you're being honest.
Yeah.
Well, on that, because actually, and this is what I think we've picked up on who's the saver and the spender in this relationship. But we did do some more research with Experian, and it revealed that Gen Z most identified their financial personality as, guess, a spender.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I know,
I was going to say
right?
saver.
Well, this is what I would have thought, if I'm honest with you, had we not done this Experian research. I think this is really, and you both seem surprised.
Yeah, I was thinking.
And I do.
Yeah, I was gonna say
But
saver.
this is, listen, news just in from what we've done, because there is a lot of talk in the media about Gen Z being the most financially savvy generation. We talk about loud budgeting, all these buzzwords. We're proud to say, no, I'm not going out because I'm saving for a house, and we are owning that. But actually, this is what the research tells us, that most people identify as a spender. So, that brings us both onto you guys. I think you have very clearly explained, Jessie, that you are a saver.
100%.
You're all about the financial goals, then the banking past, I think maybe that financial education.
And I just love it. I think it's so interesting. And back in the day, I invested in crypto and that went really well for me. And I love that type of stuff. And I would my friends.
God, I wish we were friends back in the day.
Yeah, that's what I said to
I'm one of
her.
those people, the amount of people I meet that go, oh yeah, back in the day, if I'd invested, I'd be a billionaire now. But Jessie, you're actually saying you made a good investment.
But my friends would buy designer handbags and I'd be like, I'm not going to put my money into that. I'll put it into an investment. And it was fun for me. So I love that type of thing.
Will, is there anything sexier?
It helps me because it
Because
definitely...
what are you? You're a spender.
Oh, I'm getting better.
It's fine. You can own it. There's no judgment from
Yeah.
me, babes. You fit into the main demographic, but you're a spender. Okay?
I'm a spender, yeah.
So
I would say I'm a spender.
Would you say an out of control spender?
No, I would say...
Not anymore. I think you went on a spree, but you're not
Jessie's had a
anymore.
word.
I'm on a leash at the moment because
Okay.
we're saving.
Would you say you spend, but within a sensible parameter?
Yeah, I'd never go crazy.
Yes.
Spend lots and lots of money
Yes.
at one point, but I don't think I make sensible decisions.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Why are you
I'm just thinking of
giggling?
the £300 Uber Eats.
What? You spent £300 on
That
Uber
is-
Eats. What the hell were you buying?
Absolutely everything I could get my hands on.
Well,
But-
I'd be honest with you, Jessie. I'm actually quite impressed by that.
No, the worst thing is I fall asleep before it comes.
See, these are the
Yeah.
things that annoy me. I'm like, you
So,
can't
yeah.
do it.
But-
Mate, a £300 Uber Eats order on that door.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, you'd be in trouble from me on that one.
Yeah,
I'm
that was
gonna
pretty
tell you
bad. I don't do that. I've only done that once or twice. But I think with it, what I do with finances, I don't maybe look at if you're in a grocery store and you're trying to be a bit savvy with money, maybe I won't look and compare prices on
Okay.
saving and different things like that. I used to go out if I wanted to get shoes or clothes. I would always pick Jessie up a pair of shoes as well because then and then if she said anything, I've gone, oh, but I've got you a pair as well.
Oh, well, what a tactic.
It was.
So it was, she can't have a go at me because I've just bought her a gift at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. So it was like a win-win.
But I do think with us, because I'm such a saver and you freely spend money. I think it works really well because it has I spend a bit more now and I'm a bit more relaxed about it
Because you have the funds?
Yeah, not only because I have the funds though, but just because Will's relaxedness around it. I'm still I still save and invest, but I'm not. Right. Sometimes it would give me anxiety when I was younger and stuff, and now I don't have to kind of worry about that. I'm a lot more relaxed around it, so it works well for the both of us.
Which is a very, very fair point. And actually, I think sometimes spenders can get a bit of a bad rap, and I think it's really important to be really clear about there is a reckless spender and then perhaps concealing debt or living beyond your means. I'm assuming you don't do that. You don't get yourself
Oh no.
Right.
I just have maybe silly spells. We'll call them silly spells.
But I would imagine from what you're saying, the silly spells or the frivolous spells is because you've got it, so why not?
Yeah, it's nothing ever crazy.
Or reckless, or that puts you outside of achieving that financial goal together.
Yeah.
So actually that is spending, but within a safe boundary.
Of course, yeah.
Because it sounds like, Jessie's really aware of what you're doing. You aren't even you joke around it, which is funny, but you do understand it. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, there is a point that comes when you go, no, that's ridiculous. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah,
100%.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Business class. We're we're not paying that much to go to Australia in business class. We're fine.
You flew economy to Australia.
We always fly economy.
I mean, I'm not going to lie, guys. This is where I'm a bougie bitch. I'm going to have to wait until I go to Australia till I can afford that business class.
We can afford to do it, but we just don't because we're looking at a bigger picture. Like Jessie said about our house, we want to buy a farm this year.
So is that your shared goal? That's your shared financial goal and life goal is to live together, have a farm together.
Financial life goal, I would say, would be more from my point of view, more of a family point of view. I would just love to, once we have children, because we are going to have children once we have children.
Is this an exclusive? We're going to have children.
We're going to be here one day.
One day.
I love that for you guys.
But that's where my financial goal I would like to just be extremely, well, both of us, just very comfortable so we can give maybe our children opportunities maybe we didn't get growing up.
I love that. And what I'm adoring about you two is there are different habits in spending, but there is a clear communication. And this is what is absolutely key around financial compatibility, is essentially it's umbrellaed by good, clear, open communication. And when you can have those difficult conversations, even if you are a bit, peed off with each other on something or a decision, or maybe you might go, actually, do you know what, Will, seriously, the TV thing, like, it's come on, dude, like, or whatever, or if it's that important to Will, you may recognize actually that's a really important thing to him, and you know what, why not? We've got the money, we can afford it, it doesn't bring us into debt, it's his money over here, and there's his money, my money, joint money. I mean, can I ask on that one, have you got into any form of interdependence around finances? So do you have joint accounts, separate accounts, or are you still very separate?
So we have one joint account, and then we still have our separates, but we almost split everything. So like he pays, I pay type vibe. So pretty much I'll pay for something, we'll pay for something, or
but it's just not a thing.
Whoever's about, it all goes in.
Yeah, it's the same. And I think that's especially for only 2 years into your relationship, actually, I think that in itself demonstrates the level of commitment that you have for each other as well, that you are very much on a level playing field.
I think that's because when I grew up, my parents never had separate bank accounts. I grew up in a household where the only cards that they had were joint bank accounts.
Right.
So it was never kind of like my mum's money or my dad's money. It was just kind of like joint.
The family money.
It was the family money, and that's kind of like how I was brought up. But were you the same?
I don't really know, because like I said, my parents were so young when I was a child.
Yeah.
Like the age gap between me and my parents is less than the age gap between me and some of my siblings. So,
gosh.
Yeah, my parents were so young. So it kind of was never really discussed or anything.
Mm-hmm. Well, we had some more research which we did with Experian. Honestly, this research is blown my mind. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on it. So when it comes to the biggest dating turn-offs, okay, for Gen Z in particular, unwillingness to talk about money. This is not you guys at all, but unwillingness to talk about money was way down the list at only 12%. Okay. But the biggest turn-offs were having no manners, 42%, talking about their ex, also 42%, and being rude to waiting staff at 34%.
They're just such Gen Z responses, aren't they?
Gen Z.
Yeah, it is.
But do you think that having a conversation about money in the early days is a dating turn on or turn off?
I think it's how you go about it. I think if you sit down at a first date and you say, how much do you earn? How much have you saved?
Mind
Just a bit
your
it's a bit intense, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I'll definitely say, like, talking about finances actually make you a stronger couple. I've definitely seen it with Jessie. If we didn't speak about our finances, and if I was spending, crazy, and Jessie had a problem with it, and that's like anything in the relationship, if you, not necessarily just kind of like with your finances, but anything, if you have a problem with what the other person's doing and you don't bring it to light, it will cause issues, or it will just cause you in your own head, causing a grudge, which will just separate you. So even if it's not necessarily just finances or anything else, I think conversations are really key to talk about, and especially with finances, because it will, like it did with us, align your goals and what you want to achieve in the future. Absolutely. And what you want to have and do.
Yeah, and I do think these discussions are so important, because as we kind of discussed before, some people can feel a lot of anxiety, or the feelings behind finances, it can really stress people out.
It's emotive for sure.
Yeah, and once you kind of open up and discuss that as you would your emotions, it can relieve a lot of stress in the relationship.
So there is a trend of people putting their 999 credit score, okay, on their dating profile, as in like, I'm practically perfect in every way. Do you think a 999 credit score is a turn on?
I think with this, if you're looking for someone long term and you're looking for that serious relationship, I think it's a turn on. I think that's great because, if you are looking to settle down and start your life with someone, having that knowledge straight up, it shows that they're also probably going to be thinking about this, about who they're looking for. So I think it can be a good thing.
Do you think social media is helping to open up conversations around money, finances, relationships, or do you think it's making it worse? Or do you have any thoughts either way on it?
I personally think it's what direction you're looking. So I do think social media opens up a lot of space to hear about and have the conversations and see people more openly speak about it. Like, for example, today on this podcast. Yeah. However, so social media is very glamorized. It looks, a lot of people like to make it look like they're living the high life. And if you're kind of looking at that direction and you're looking at, you know, what brands people are having, you know, if they're flying business and first class, I think it can kind of turn the direction.
It's a highlights reel, isn't it?
Yeah, so it depends. Reel. You know, you've got your people on social media, your TikTok For You page could be full of people giving financial advice. Amazing. However, it could be on the highlight reel side of social media. So it's really hard to tell.
Do you think people, and I guess I ask this because often you are depicted in media in general as the people, i.e. Love Islanders, reality stars, you know, that sort of Gen Zers in particular want to emulate. You know, they see your highlights reel, for example. Is that something that you're concerned about, that you feel is a thing that people go, oh, look at those guys, oh my God, you know, and there is this sort of expectation of other people measuring themselves to what they perceive you have?
When I was younger and before I kind of came into this world, 100% that's what I actually looked at people on social media like, oh my God, they have such a beautiful modern house. Yeah. You know, they go on most stunning holidays. Of course, you kind of compare yourself and want that. But I think one thing that I've loved about finding Will is I come from a very country background. Our house is like over 100 years old. It's not modern. Back at my family home, and I was always so ashamed of that and wanted to look like I went and paid so much rent to live in a really fancy apartment, but I couldn't afford that rent at the time. So since we've kind of got together, I think it's really grounded me, and I want to show people, like, when we still vlog at my family home, which I never would have done 5 years ago because I was embarrassed. And I want to show people, like, it's okay. Like, you don't have to compare yourself to people on social media because it's not 100% real and it's not realistic either.
I love that. And do you know what? Thank you for your honesty as well, Jessie. And I think that's really powerful. But as you say, because so many people do that, I think it's really important that we get to that point where people that do measure themselves or look at people on social media, they kind of go, actually, that makes me feel so much more comfortable with my life, so my life and my choices, and then to not live beyond their means, you know. And you've put that perfectly, Jessie. Be proud of that family home. We're you do know I'm now going to go and stalk you on social media because I want to see the family home.
When Jessie told me about that, I was like, she lives in such a beautiful rural place. Yeah. Like it is really nice. But I had the same when Jessie was coming back to mine after Love Island Villa, because I live in just like it's just a farmhouse. It's a dirty...
There's no just farmhouse. Take the just out.
There's my coach.
I live in a farmhouse.
I live in a dirty farmhouse.
There's nothing better than a dirty farmhouse.
No, but I was like, because obviously Love Island's glamorous, and I was like, oh my God, I've got a beautiful glamorous girl coming back to the farm.
Yeah. But
what
also,
am I
Love
going to
do? It's a villa that a TV company hires,
course,
and they have people in there every day making a set out of it. Again, it's not real. But yeah, so it's something that you perhaps also felt.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. I think we both kind of like felt it on either ends, and then when kind of like Jessie went to mine, and then I went to hers, it kind of...
We just have a sigh of relief. When I walked into the house, I was like, oh, Phil.
I mean, guys, I think I need to we need to do a dating 101 of why this relationship is working. We could talk for so much longer, but we're gonna throw it open to questions before we wrap things up for the app. So, will a spender do well in a relationship with a saver, and vice versa? Well, that's an excellent question we've received, and you two seem to be case in point.
We're doing pretty good.
Yeah, and from an expert point of view, absolutely you can. We're all different. We all have differences in everything we do. We have different argument styles. We have different preferences in life, different jobs, different careers, different personalities. You know, that's the whole point of being an individual. If we were the same, it would be highly boring. I guess I'll throw it over to you guys, though. In answer to that question, will a spender do well in a relationship with a saver? In your case, it's yes. And I guess, how do you navigate that? And what advice would you give for people that were in that spending, saving dynamic?
I would just say communication. Communication is just the most important thing, especially when being opposites, I guess. But I even think if you're both savers or both spenders or opposites, like, communication is the most important thing, because you know, if you are serious with that person, that's how you will discuss your future goals and what you want out of life.
Money's always got to be spent. You have to spend money to live. So kind of like Will being the spender, I'm like, you know what? You do that because you like that. So Will is in charge of order and everything.
You do you, Will.
Yeah, and I'm on the
I
other
get put
side.
in the corner. You do you.
I'm doing the bank accounts and everything, and Will's over there. I'm like, okay, you can go do the spending money jobs in the relationship, and I'll do the other side.
But Joe, isn't that? I think that's so interesting. Again, it plays into those. You know, what gives us that dopamine fix, right? And what I think you two beautifully demonstrate is you do come from different perspectives, but actually together the compatibility really works. And as you say, Will, because you have open communication, and that's what's key. And there's no, what I'm picking up as well, there's no resentment from either of you. It's I mean, your face was like, no, why would there be? Exactly. And
There's
I
like
think
no
that's great.
right or wrong.
No.
There's just no right or wrong, I don't think.
I'll just do one more quick question as well. I earn more than my partner. Do you think I should pay more than them towards household bills?
I think that there definitely needs to be an open discussion if they're asking you to pay more because perhaps they need you to pay more.
Right.
But I do think like in situations it shouldn't be expected that someone's going to pay more than the other. I think you need to have those clear boundaries and discussions. And if someone needs you to help out, or if you can and willingly will help out, you know, it is pretty tough though.
Jessie, I'm listening. You need to sit in this chair, girl. I'm telling you, you're giving the stellar advice. Yeah, always get in early. I think with these conversations on joint accounts, who's paying what bills, why, and ask. I always say to people, ask, not tell. First of all, ask what your partner thinks is fair. Ask what they can do, what they're willing to do, what they can't do. You know, and then it's working on that compromise. And I believe there is no definitive answer to that question because every relationship is different, but again it always keeps coming back to compromise and clear communication and ultimately what feels fair. You know, if one of you does earn more than the other one but the other one refuses point blank to pay more, you know, again that's a little amber flag. You know, why? What's going on there? And I think it is all about that push pull and finding that compromise. If I put in more there, you know, how might that then, you know, is there a compromise over here that would be reasonable? You know, and it's working out what is fair and reasonable, and then also living, you know, within your means on that. You know, if one of you's earning an absolute packet and the other one's not, but the one who's earning the packet wants to live in a multi-million-pound apartment, you know, and the other one's going, well, I can't afford that. You know, there has to be, you know, so it's either you downsize and make it equal, and you live within your means of the lower earner, or do you see what I mean? So it's
100%.
all
but
so
it all
bespoke.
comes down to just communication, isn't it? I think the worst you can do is just not talk to your partner about it, because that's when, if you're in the dark, then that's where problems actually will occur. If you're not 100% honest or you don't talk about it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's the not talking, and then that just can create cracks and a chasm. Last quick question. If one person had significant debt, such as credit card debt, that began prior to the relationship starting, when is the right time to be honest about this with your new partner?
I would say when you're comfortable, because I don't feel, if you've just started dating, you don't know where it's going to go. Maybe conversations like that aren't necessary. However, once you start settling down and, you know, maybe talk about the future, and if it comes up very organically,
Right.
I would say is the best time is whenever feels right.
It also kind of depends how well you've got it under control, because is this problem going to become something that impacts them?
Right.
Or have you got credit card debt and you can manage that on your own, you're doing fine? It just depends. Is it going to impact the other person? And is it bothering you? Do you need someone to talk to about? Because credit card debt it's actually really common. I used to work in a bank, and like,
there you go.
You know, it's nothing to be ashamed of.
No,
It's very common.
no. But it's getting the plan in place to not just go la 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 la.
Yeah,
forget
because
about
it's very
this.
easy to do that.
It is.
It's easy to.
It's overwhelming. For a
It
lot
is
of
very
people.
overwhelming,
Yeah.
and it's like once you kind of have those conversations and discuss it, you realize, you know, it's actually not that bad. A lot of people have it, and you can put. That's when you start to put the plan in place to go forward.
So I think it's really important, if that relationship looks like it's going somewhere, having the confidence, hopefully you trust your partner enough to be making that decision to have a committed relationship, but being very honest and upfront and say, look, I just want to outline there's some areas in my life which, you know, could impact us as a couple, because Credit scores could then go down as a result of it for you both. So if you both are looking to get credit on something and someone does have some debt that they haven't disclosed to you, it's going to affect that credit score rating. So I think you're right. Getting a plan in place is really important. This is where Experian also comes in. I think it can be really scary if you've got debt and thinking that you're going to be judged and where am I going to go with this? But this is kind of the point of the Cost of Loving podcast, is letting people know that actually there are companies like Experian that do genuinely care to get you out of it. Is the ultimate game. You know,
100%.
that's it.
So when my mum met my dad, she was in a little bit of debt, and she was in the viewing. She didn't want to talk about it. She didn't want to share her problems, and actually built herself up, and then finally did tell my dad. And then it turns out that it's actually not going to be bad. It's not a bad situation. It's not probably what you think it's going to be in your head.
And then as a result of that, hopefully start to build healthier financial habits, as a couple moving forwards. It can actually be a very empowering thing.
Once you've started making plans, or once you feel like you envision a future with this person, I think it's really important to kind of have those discussions, because, if there was something, perhaps debt or something that could impact one person's future goals, I think the earlier you have the discussions.
Yeah.
And I think, like, for some reason there is so much like stigma around speaking about finances. I really think just as a whole, we should just be a little bit more open with it. Like, we don't need to say our income, we don't need to say our savings,
right?
But like, financial health, like just having those discussions and bringing it into everyday conversation.
Absolutely. Well, Jessie, Will, I have thoroughly enjoyed talking to you both. Thank you for your honesty and your transparency and your insight into financial compatibility. It's been so good having you on the Cost of Loving podcast.
And thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you. We've had a good time. A really good time.
I'll see you on the farm. Next week, we'll be talking about financial independence and finding the balance in your relationship. I'll be joined by my special guests, financial expert Mr. Moneyjar, as well as relationships and lifestyle content creators Nat and Ethan.
I'm pro financial independence, absolutely. From a tax perspective, you're an individual.
It goes for everything, isn't it? If you don't look after yourself, how do you expect to look after someone else?
100%.
You can watch Experian's Cost of Loving podcast series on the Experian YouTube channel, or listen wherever you get your podcasts. Bye-bye for now, and thanks for joining. If you're struggling with money worries or debt, then you're not alone, but help is available. Whilst the first step is often the hardest, it's also the most important. You can reach out to Step Change, Citizens Advice, or National Debtline, who all offer free, independent advice for a wide range of money issues.